to be knocked down as far as Joshua concerned and build himself up. But, Ruiz, he's always been skillful, and he had his first title before, against Joseph Parker. He ended up, coming short on that, but he was more than ready for this opportunity. And, it makes it even better when you got a guy in there that already looking past you because of the state that's going on in boxing and trying to get that the most highly anticipated fight, that was in the world, which is would have been against I. And you just can't look past guys. And Joshua coming over here the first time in America, he's been built up and boosted up in height, so big, and you had to come over here, then fighting a guy you looking past and get knocked out like that, man. That's to me it depends. With everything that was built up in there, I would have felt embarrassed. He quit. The guy gave up in the ring. Yeah. He got dropped 4 times and gave up. He's supposed to be this big guy, bigger than life. But I blame his promoter for all that. I blame his promoter for bigging him up like that. I always want to be on the videos. I always want to do the interviews. There's one thing about this sport, man.
What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I was letting you guys listen to a segment of SportsCenter. Okay, they had Deontay Wilder as a guest on SportsCenter, and he was giving his take on Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz. And he said that Anthony Joshua should feel embarrassed from losing the way he did. He said he quit. He said he got knocked down 4 times, and he quits, and he blames the promoter, right? Now, mind you, that little segment, he explained how skillful Ruiz was, how talented Ruiz was, how he was overlooked, how the opponent was overlooking Andy Ruiz to get to the bigger fight, which was him. And matched, of course, with the determination of Ruiz. And you know all that. So you got a guy that, like Deontay Wilder, this is his interview. This is what that comes out of his mouth. He says that, hey, you got a skilled fighter, real fast hands. He was determined, right? They were looking past him. They overlooked him because they were looking at Deontay Wilder himself for a big mega fight. So if that's the case, why should Anthony Joshua feel embarrassed if you just gave all these different, you laid out the platform, you laid out what really happened or what you think happened, right? Because again, this is his interpretation of Ruiz versus Joshua, or Joshua versus Ruiz, the first fight, right? And then he says, well, he should feel embarrassed. He should feel embarrassed because he was hyped up. He's this big, bad dude. You got to be more than look the part. You got to be the part, right? And that kind of sounds like acting to me. You know what I mean? Because that's exactly what you say in acting. Because I know, because I'm one of them. But anyway, Deontay's going to be an actor pretty soon. So, I think that he pulled that out the textbook of, becoming a character, right? So anyway, back to him. He says, well, he should be embarrassed. And immediately he does what? Goes right to Eddie Hearn. Oh, I blame Eddie Hearn. You can do this. He want to be in all the interviews. And then you really noticed, I'm going to leave the link to this this interview so you can check it out. And I want you to see the way his mood changed when he started talking about Eddie Hearn. When he mentioned Eddie Hearn, his whole demeanor changed. And I think it's more of the hatred he has for Eddie Hearn. I think that's all of the LDBC's problem, because Joshua is ran by a white promoter, or ran by or promoted by someone that is not of his same skin complexion or pigmentation, right? And that's what it is. And it's crazy. It's like, okay, you changed your whole demeanor when it came to, you see how he fumbled around with using those words. Well, personally, I would feel embarrassed, right? He got that out. But then he gets on Eddie Hearn. Listen to him.
You know, having people on the outside, you cannot talk for people. You know, oh yeah, I talked to Josh yesterday. He said this, or yeah, my man go do. It's okay. You got to be modest and mild with it a little bit because you can't say so much because you're not gonna be the one in the ring fighting at the end of the night. So not only was Joshua have to back up stuff that he says, but now he had to back up the stuff that the promoters so love to have the attention and get in front of every camera that will get him the attention and talk all this mess. And then when you get in there with an opponent like Andy, when people at least expect him to see what's going to happen, or they look at him and judge a book by its cover, and you get knocked down 4 times and then you give up, that's humiliation and that's embarrassment at his first at the top of the class, So,
but
and what he was saying, he didn't like the idea of Eddie Hearn getting in front of the cameras. Like I was telling you, he was like, blame Eddie. Eddie's to blame. You got to back up what Eddie said versus what he said. Now he has to go in and perform, on the strengths of talking. Now, that is true. Your promoter, that's what they do. They promote you. They make sure they're the voice for you when they didn't have voices. Now the fighter has voices, and it's almost funny that he's saying that about Eddie Hearn, which in actuality, Deontay Wilder does that too. He hypes himself up, he builds himself up, but then you almost got stopped by a 40-year-old man on, they say it was on hypertension medicine or whatnot, or whatever. And everybody knows that I'm a Ortiz fan, so, I was expecting Ortiz to beat him. Because as up until that time, Deontay Wilder didn't even fight anyone in the top 10, let's just be real. Well, who did he fight? You know what I'm saying? That was even on that level as Ortiz. And then you're fighting Ortiz again, okay? You fought Dominic Breazeale. All props to Deontay Wilder for knocking him out the way he knocked him out, okay? But that's going to be any Deontay Wilder fight. It's either you're going to outbox him like Fury did, or he's going to knock you out like he almost did in the Fury fight. So it is what it is. But back to Deontay, he doesn't like Eddie Hearn, okay? And he says you get knocked down 4 times and you quit. Well, damn, how do you get knocked down 4 times and then you quit? You know what I mean? He didn't do a Roberto Duran. He didn't pull a no mas. He didn't say, no, man, I don't want to quit. Because in actuality, let's look at that. The referee said, hey, are you ready? So he comes up with his gloves, right? And then the guy says, okay, are you ready? So he sits back and says, okay, fuck, let me get some more breath. And then he stops it. Look, if you're fatigued, you're going to do exactly what Joshua did. Now, you can construe that as, well, he quit. Well, I seen a man tired as fuck. That's what I saw. I saw a dude gassed out of his mind. And he wanted to continue, but it's hard as hell to continue when you're tired. Anybody knows anything about boxing, that is what you know. And then he went to war for that amount of time and took punches like that from Ruiz, right? And then you get knocked down 4 times. Well, obviously he didn't land. Because here's the thing. If he would have quit, he would have just laid down on the ground, right? He would have laid down on the ground and stayed there. Or he would have told him I couldn't continue, right? He would have did something that made you think, yeah, he just quit. He didn't want to get up. Because I've seen that. People get knocked to the ground. They look up at the ref is counting. And then they're thinking like, dude, do I really want to get my ass back up? No, that's not what happened in Joshua's case. But of course, Deontay would say that. He said that before. This is classic Al Heyman stuff. Because see, Mayweather did the same thing when Manny Pacquiao got KO'd. Okay? He couldn't wait. All the Floyd Mayweather fans, all the Flomo fans, remember Flomos and Pac-Tards? All the Flomo fans, they were parading around like, man, see that he couldn't nearly, man, Mayweather would just pick him apart. And then what happened in the fight? Mayweather won, but it wouldn't by no shit that people thought like he would come with a knockout. None of those guys were knocking people out no more. You know what I mean? So like, everybody thought that Pacquiao got knocked out. He had fell off so bad, right? And then everyone was saying the same thing. He should have took the $40 million. And the same motherfuckers were saying that about Manny are the same motherfuckers that's saying that about Joshua. He should have took the $50 million. He just made $35 million last Saturday. So what's, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the significance of $50 million? You acting like that's like a big deal to Anthony Joshua, a guy that made $200 million. You know, so it's not surprising to me that Deontay is talking this because he's in a position to talk. You know, this is his opinion. You know, he chooses to do or say what he's going to say because he hates the promoter and he dislikes the attention that Anthony Joshua has, right? He doesn't like that. He wants it to be on himself. What do you think he's been talking about the whole time? Think about it, guys. Deontay's been talking about, I'm the most talked about boxer. It ain't about the belts no more. That it's not about unification at all. And if you look at these videos, he's not really talking about unification. He's talking about fighting Fury because he wants to be in the spotlight. Something that Eddie Hearn and Joshua were. And he wanted it. And he only wanted it to be in there by himself. That's why what happens if you see someone and you envy what they have and you want to be where they are, you're going to talk about things to either bring attention to yourself, right? Or when something happens bad, you're going to talk about them more to bring more attention to yourself, just like what happens now. See, he's loving this publicity. And guess what? To this day, he's still talking about Anthony Joshua, right? He should be focused more on Luis Ortiz. We haven't heard him talk about Ortiz lately. He's been talking about Joshua, like the whole world has. I mean, let's be fair. Everyone has been talking about their opinion about Joshua. But Deontay Wilder is one of those guys that he's loving it because he knows I don't have to fight this motherfucker until I feel like it. And now I have leverage because now he's not a champ no more, so he loses those belts, so he loses all negotiations with me, which he's sadly mistaken. I'm sorry. The A side doesn't make you the champ. Was Canelo the champ when he fought Golovkin? Think about that, guys. Canelo gave his WBC belt up to Golovkin, but guess what? It was still Canelo Golovkin, wasn't it? 1 and 2, and will be 3 again, right? And he has the belts, but the belts don't matter. The belts don't make the A side, people. So if Deontay's sitting back thinking, oh, I'm going to be the A side and I'm going to be the most talked about, I'm the most famous, I'm the most baddest man on the planet, guess what? You're not the highest paid, brother. That's why you got a gag order on how much money you make now. Let's be real. So for everyone that's saying, and all the Wilder fans that's claiming that Deontay Wilder is now the A side, even if he fights Anthony Joshua, right? They're mistaken because he doesn't bring the money to the table. He's the lowest paid boxer. Right? Joshua's made more money than him and Tyson Fury put together. Sorry, that's just reality of it. You know, and so what you do if you know you can't compete with a person marketability wise, right? You be discreet on how much money you make. So that won't be in a discussion or in the run-ups. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to compete with a person if you keep that shit quiet. So that's why they did that. Like, no, don't talk about money, because when you talk about money, that's what makes the A side versus the B side. Because if he starts talking about, oh, he really made 10 million, well, we're going to offer him 20 million to fight Joshua with Joshua's name attached to it to fight Dominic Breazeale. You know what I mean? So, but Deontay, he's in a good position. You know, he speaks his mind, or the mind of his team, you know, and he feels he quit. Well, I think Deontay Wilder should fight Anthony Joshua and knock him out. You know, and I feel also often, you know, it's sad because I would be pissed off if I'm Deontay Wilder. You know, maybe that's his way of saying I'm mad as hell because I wanted to be the guy that did that. But anyway, I'll leave the link below in the description box. And you guys listen to this interview. Tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.